Two quick things before we get into the video proper. I'm going to talk fast, but this might still take a little bit, so try to bear with me. First off, I've launched my second channel, the link to that is in the description. Currently, the only video on it is my reaction to this week's Pokemon Direct, but I'm going to also record and upload reactions to as many of the E3 presentations this weekend as possible, and those will go up there. Then, after E3 is over, I'm going to start uploading Let's Play videos, as well as my raw, unedited, uncommentated Xenogears playthrough, which leads into the second thing I have to talk about. A few people were concerned and or upset by the fact that I said I'm not going to Let's Play Xenogears, and I am not going to Let's Play Xenogears just because I don't want to have to think about commentating over my first playthrough of the game. I want to experience it as pure as possible, despite that I do know a bunch of plot stuff. But a lot of people are concerned that since they don't have the game themselves, they'd have to seek out another Let's Play or find another way of getting the story of the game in order to understand Xenogears videos I make. So I came up with the idea of not doing commentated Let's Plays, but doing narrated plot recaps, where I basically make a video going over a story arc of the plot, explaining what happened there, and then just make that a series going through the entire story of the game. I could do one big plot recap once I finish the entire thing, but even if that were an hour, it wouldn't be enough detail to fully explain all the things that would be important in future Xenogears videos. But if I do it on an arc-by-arc basis, then I'd be able to go into more detail and have a lot more shorter videos instead of one or two very long ones, and also, then I could direct you to a specific recap video if I'm talking about some Xenogears topic that pertains to a specific part of the story, so I could directly link you to a video that explains what I need to talk about. So, I never use these, but there's going to be an iCard poll, upper right-hand corner. Vote whether or not you'd want me to make that series, and there's an other option, which is basically leave a comment. If I don't get what you mean, or I think it's cool, I will probably respond to that comment. But anyway, let's start talking about Uncontrollable. You all know by now that it's my favorite Xenoblade song, and I've been saying I wanted to make a video about it for a very long time. And this is finally the day. I need to start talking slowly again, because now I need to explain stuff. This will contain kind of nebulous spoilers for X. I can't really give an exact cutoff point because I'm not going to talk about the exact plot, but I'm going to bring up things and concepts that don't come up at the beginning, and you have to play a few story chapters to get them, so just kind of nebulous mid-game. I can't really give a chapter cutoff, but yeah, that's what that is. Also, this is going to be a lyrical analysis because I'm not a musician. I can't analyze the song on a music level, but I can read a printout of the lyrics and be like, yes, that reminds me of that thing from the game. This is a bunch of symbolism, and so that's where that's coming in. It is worth noting that with the exception of a couple Xenoblade 2 area themes, every song with lyrics in Xenoblade games that are not X had them written by Tetsuya Takahashi himself, then being translated and sung by English language vocalists, with the English songs being put in every version of the game. For X, on the other hand, there are a lot more lyrical songs, which just fits Hiroyuki Sawano's style and the game itself a bit more, but the lyrics for all of them, including the ending theme, were written by members of the music team, so there is a lot less of the creator's own voice in the lyrics for Uncontrollable, but I do know as a fact that it was composed specifically for X, because we know that the one song on the soundtrack that was originally composed for something else was Melancholia, which was just a song that Sawano composed, fit the tone of X, so he put it in. Every other song was composed for the game, so I'm sure that the music team was given plenty of resources and knowledge of the world and stuff, and when each song would play, when they were instructed on this is the kind of song you need to make. So I'm sure that it was intentionally written to fit the game, but it might not necessarily reflect things as the creator originally envisioned. Finally though, it's time to start looking into the lyrics, overanalyzing them, finding symbolism and connections that you'd think wouldn't actually be there, but it's a Xeno game, so they probably actually are. Starting with the song's iconic first line, "The wind blows hard in December." This is probably not a direct reference to any one event in the game itself, because Earth was explicitly destroyed in July, and there are no seasons on Mira, but December is the beginning of winter, which is commonly associated with things like death and decay. That kind of fits humanity's state at the beginning of the game, but of course after winter comes spring, which is the season of new life and rebirth, and we'll see that a general theme in the lyrics here is that things are really bad right now, but there is still plenty of hope to go around. Our last fight, do you remember? And here we see pretty much the main theme of this song, and a thing that crops up in a few other X tracks, and that is the use of the motif of a couple and their relationship to represent humanity and its struggles. And here, they're fighting, they're going through a rough patch in their relationship. I'm pretty sure humanity's going through a pretty rough patch in its relationship with being alive right now. Counting the days since we left. This is probably just talking about the time since the white whale left Earth. There's a bit of timeline shenaniganery going around here, so the actual couple in the story the song tells might not be on the white whale yet, but that's the best thing I could come up with for that line. You and I slipping away. Slipping away from what? We don't really know, but this could either mean them being in stasis as the ship went on its journey to Mira, because we know that the majority of passengers on the white whale did that, or slipping away from each other and just growing more distant in their relationship. The days gone by when you loved me, no way the way you now treat me. Basically, a lot of time has passed since some inciting incident, and things have just been getting worse since, to the point where the singer of this line can't even believe what's happening at this point, both in how far the relationship has degraded and probably in how far humanity's situation has. Pouring wine into my glass. Now, this is one where I didn't go whole hog with explaining things, because wine can symbolize a lot of things, including a lot of religious things that the series is kind of known for, but in the context of the last few lines, it seems to more be the couple actually sharing wine, despite all the arguments they've been going through, which implies that they're at least still talking enough and on reasonably friendly terms, which means they're probably still trying to work things out despite of everything that's going on, which is the first real sign of hope we have in the song so far. Looking back to where we were. Again, both physically back to planet Earth and metaphorically back to better times. Pretty straightforward there. There's no direction for us. Humanity is lost, alone, stranded, and scared. There's no obvious path to go into the future, and things really don't seem safe right now. Here comes the endless fight. Enemies are everywhere and overwhelming in number. Almost everyone seems out to get people, and it's a struggle just to live to see tomorrow. But things are about to get better. Show us light for now. I said I wasn't going to do any objective musical analysis, and that's right, but at this point the song transitions into the first chorus from the first verse, and the somewhat bleak and mournful sound that was backing the lyrics up until now gives way to a much more hopeful, powerful, and uplifting sort of feeling, and that's without even changing instrumentation or tone, just the way the notes are put together. And combined with this being the first line of the chorus, it seems to be some sort of form of a prayer for salvation or a plea to some actual living person just trying to find a way out of the situation we're in. Show a sign for where we can go. Again, it's asking for guidance moving forwards. There's no direction for us, so we need a sign to find out where we can go. Again, this is looking for guidance. The show a sign part seems to lean a bit more on the asking for divine help to me than asking for a person to bail you out. Into the cave with no guiding light is, again, just another metaphor for the place humanity's in, a dark place with no easy sign of salvation. Do you know, a bunch of repetitions, where is the goal? The short-term goal of humanity is to find the Lifehold core because that's what's keeping them alive, and once it's back in their custody, they'll be safer and able to actually do stuff again. So there is a physical goal point to aim for that they need to discover the location of and quickly. Don't just follow. This could mean a lot of things, either not blindly following leadership or teachings if the reality you see in front of you contradicts them, not following the norms of society, or just not following people who have given up and are waiting to let humanity be destroyed. Be the leader that people need in this time of crisis. And then, this is the most important part, the big hope spot. We could try because we're living now. This is the couple or the singer or whoever, humanity, realizing that as long as they're still alive and kicking and have the will to live on, they'll always be able to try and make things better, be it in their relationship or in the world as a whole. Humanity's been through a lot of shit in the millennia it's been around, but it's never been knocked out yet, and it's not about to start now. It's bitter, so many sorrows, but we can swallow. Despite the hardship, there are always people who have the will to survive and won't give up so easily. This will is later found in the xenoform races that find their way to Mira, and it's only through joining forces that anyone will survive. It's also just a reference to phrases like a hard pill to swallow or a bitter pill to swallow, representing difficulty. It's gonna be our hardest times. That's pretty self-evident, but it's important to remember that this is the low point. It's not going to be easy, but things will get better from now. End of the chorus, and it gets a bit more acoustic for a little while before going back into the same chorusy stuff in a minute. Every time I ask the smallest thing, you get mad or just ignore. This is using the relationship framing device to basically talk about societal problems, because even fictional characters live in a society. People who, when confronted about issues they're contributing to the problems of, or stuff like that, will either get angry and confrontational, try to shift blame, or that kind of thing, or just pretend they don't exist. Willful ignorance is bad in the best of times, but in a crisis it could end up screwing over all of humanity, and wow, that's pretty topical. Thank you, video game, for basically summing up the entire environmental crisis. That's depressing. Let's talk about music again. I don't want to hear how long we've been here. At first, it might just seem like, oh my god, stop talking about this kind of thing, I'm done, I'm throwing the towel in. It's the tedium setting in and the endless fight seemingly resulting in no progress. The singer doesn't want to hear the numbers. It seems like this kind of bleak thinking, but after the next line, there's no chance for fear. It's subverted and revealed that this is much more of a never tell me the odds type thing. Doesn't matter how long the fight's been going on, how many people have fallen already, or how short defeat seems, there will always be people who will fight on until their dying breath. It's uncontrollable. That's referring to the human spirit itself, which is later of course seen, not just in humans, but in other races. It describes that will to survive as a force of nature, one that can't be bent to anyone's will, not even a god. This fits right in line with the Xenoblade series' theme of self-determination and the idea that the only person who can shape your destiny is yourself, and sometimes the will to do that is so powerful and so potent that even you can't stop it once it gets started. And then here's the chorus again, and it's important to note that this has two parts, the two different singers singing different lyrics at the same time, but they end up swapping what they're singing after the first stanza, so they'll both sing a thing and then they'll swap, so for the next part of the song, each person will sing what the other one sang before, so I'm just going to follow the main lyrics, the ones that are written as the main things in the official, like, writing out of the song, and I will still cover every single line, so it doesn't really matter in the long run. All things gone from left to right, and this world is changing fast. These lines are simple, everything's been turned completely upside down because of recent events, and change is happening a lot faster than it ever has before. It's so hard to find an answer for itself. Mira is a mysterious and deadly place, and the people who you meet there can range from friendly to as duplicitous as they come. It's basically a funky wording for saying that it's hard to figure out what a truth really is, or hard to determine if something you see is in fact true, but you need to do that if you want to survive. Can we find the key to life? Possibly a reference to the key we've lost and its symbolism. It could also just mean ensuring the survival of humanity or oneself, or just finding the key to live together, that there's something that once you achieve or once you figure out, everything will be okay. I don't want to be apart. Despite everything, the couple still sticks together and doesn't want to be separated. This is possibly representative of the bonds forged between characters and between races, and how they're ultimately the reason anyone ever succeeds in the end, and it's also just bringing some resolution to the actual plot of the song. There's a spaceship we can ride, now it's time to ride. The spaceship they're talking about is probably the White Whale, and it could imply that the story of the couple told in the song is of them going through relationship troubles as the world falls apart around them in the lead up to the alien attack, and then they eventually decide to escape to the whale together and start over on the Ark ship. It also could just be metaphorically rising up into the heavens, into a better life or something like that. Let's get started again. References both the couple staying together and humanity basically having to start over on Mira, but this time viewing it in a positive light, as in there is a humanity to get restarted, and it will be able to survive through this. Do not tire yourself, we'll get back the life for ourselves today. The idea of working for a brighter future but ending up in a state you can't enjoy it is not really something the game toys with, but I think is what's being talked about here. The entire game is a collaborative effort between all of Blade and everyone they meet, so no one person should be stuck overworking themselves and being unable to enjoy everyone's collective successes. let's get started again. Do not scare yourself. We can take this ride for ourselves. There's no chance for fear, except for fear that comes from within. Mental health is a minor theme in the entire Xeno series, except when it's a major theme, but that's beside the point. And this might be a nod to anxiety, or just talking about psyching yourself up before taking a big step, and needing to be reassured that this is in fact something you can do. Then, the last 3 lines are, can we find the key to life? I don't want to be apart. There's a spaceship we can ride. Now it's time to ride. Again, this is just a repetition, but until I read the official transliteration of the lyrics, I always heard the second it's time to ride as time to rise. It's not actually that, but even the fact that I misheard it is evident of the fact that the song is talking about humanity rising again, restoring its former glory, be it a couple resolving a conflict in their relationship, or society as a whole coming together and starting again on a new planet after the loss of Mother Earth. Before ending things entirely, I would like to talk about its actual implementation into the game as the theme that plays when you fight X's equivalent for unique monsters, the Tyrants, which are called Overed in the Japanese version. That doesn't really play into the way the song works. But this is great because not only does it fit a fight in terms of the way the actual song sounds, but it's also a good microcosm of everything the song is talking about. The struggle and the will to stand and keep fighting. Especially because the first time you pick a fight with a specific tyrant, you're likely to get your ass kicked in. Which means you're not going to survive very long, which means you're only going to get to hear the beginning of the song. But the better you get, the stronger you get, the better your strategies or gear are, you come back, you start fighting, and you survive longer. You survive long enough to hear the hopeful parts of the song. And people have mentioned this before in plenty of places across the internet, but you can easily imagine in an anime adaptation or just a cutscene that didn't actually exist in the game, the party getting beaten up, lying on the floor, broken, barely able to move, while the song plays in the background. And then the chorus hits, and they get up, bent, bleeding, but not out, and renewed the fight and win it, and all that kind of cool stuff. So that works really well, except for the part that when you're really, really strong and you're really good at the game, your fights last like 2 seconds, so you don't get to hear any of the song, which is just unfortunate because it's a good song, but hey, what do I know? This video's over. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching. As always, if you made it this far, or if you just skipped to the end slate for some reason, thank you for at least clicking on the video, because that means you're interested about something. I don't really know what I'm going with this, but yeah, don't really have much else to say other than look forward for LPs and E3s, and the fact that I am finally starting the Rex vs. Cross vs. Shulk 10K video. I'm going to be scripting it over a couple weeks, while also working on those week's regular videos, so hopefully there will be a point where I'll just be able to start editing it and then just kind of slip it in the schedule there. So, yeah, I remember that video existed, because I know a lot of people didn't think about that, and Xenogears has happened. Yeah, I'm running out of stuff to say. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this is Luxon, signing off.